Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz. This is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB games scheduled for Saturday, August 3rd, 2024. And if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. And if you're looking for my best bets, including my daily rundown best bet in the MLB, you can find those at the premium picks tab at pickdawgz.com. There's also a link in the description. Alrighty, here we go. Here are the games for Saturday in Major League Baseball. First up, the Blue Jays and the Yankees. Jose Barrios and Carlos Rodon are your starters. By the way, I do notice that the audio sounds a little bit different, a little bit worse in my opinion than it usually does. I'm going to troubleshoot that for tomorrow's video, hopefully getting it back to sound at 100%. I'm recording this video a little bit later than I usually do, but still wanted to get something up, of course, for the rundown for tonight. But in this game, when you see Carlos Rodon, I think he's in much better form compared to Barrios, who I've mentioned. I don't really love what I'm seeing from him this season. The strikeout number is the lowest of his career. Yes, he had a good outing in that last game against the Rangers, but the Yankees lineup is picking it up recently. I think they can get to Barrios for a few runs early. I don't love that Blue Jays lineup, and against lefties, they've been miserable in the last 30 days. I don't love that Blue Jays bullpen, so I got to go with the Yankees in this one on the run line at home. Next up, we see the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Chicago Cubs. Kyle Gibson and Jameson Taillon are your starters. Gibson's fared well against the Cubs this season. Taillon's pitched pretty well against the Cardinals in quite a few outings. Taillon's pitched well at Wrigley Field. Gibson's pitched well on the road. For me, I think we see, not necessarily a pitcher's duel, but I do think we see a low-scoring game. I like the under in this one in St. Louis, Chicago. The Cubs bullpen we've mentioned in the last month has made big-time improvements in terms of their expected numbers. So give me the under here in Cardinals-Cubs. Next up, we see the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Washington Nationals. Aaron Civale and DJ Hertz are your starters. I'm going to lean slightly to the Brewers in this game. It's not my favorite game on the board. For me, when you look at this spot, you see, getting the Brewers with Civale at minus 135, minus 140. Not a lot of value in that, in my opinion. I think there's much better spots on the board for today and going forward. But the reason why I'd still lean towards the Brewers and not take a shot at the plus money with the Nationals is the fact that, DJ Hertz being a lefty, the Brewers have hit lefties very well in the last month. Civale's coming off his best start as a Brewer in that last game against the Marlins. So I'm willing to take a chance here with Milwaukee, but like I said, not a game I'm rushing to bet. Next up, the Kansas City Royals taking on the Detroit Tigers. No official starter for Detroit, but Michael Lorenzen should be making his Royals debut in this one. And while I haven't really loved what I've seen from Lorenzen in terms of the strikeout rate is not great, the walks are pretty steep, 48 walks in 101 innings. I do expect big-time regression in the second half of the year. I still think when you got the Royals offense playing as well as it has, even in their road games, this team is scoring runs like we saw at the very beginning of the year. It's tough to go against Kansas City in this one because even if Lorenzen struggles, I could see the Royals getting to this Tigers bullpen, which has not been great in the last month. So I'm going to go with the Royals in this game on the money line on the road. Next up, we see the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. Jordan Montgomery and Mitch Keller are your starters. This game may look pretty simple on paper, and the fact that Mitch Keller's got the much better numbers, he looks to be the much better starting pitcher in this game. He's also in much better form. He's got last 4 games, all 4 of W's for Pittsburgh. He's given up 2 earned runs or fewer in all 4 of those starts. However, Jordan Montgomery has been a very profitable pitcher despite not pitching too well. With an ERA above 6.5, the Diamondbacks are still 5-1 in his last 6 starts. And he's personally 7-5 on the season despite that miserable ERA. It goes to show you the Diamondbacks score a lot of runs in Montgomery starts. So for me, I still like the Pirates in this game because Keller is just on a roll right now, and he already faced this Diamondbacks lineup and pitched well against them. 7 innings, 2 runs, 6 strikeouts, no home runs to go with it. So I do think the Pirates can get to Montgomery for a few runs. They've been decent against lefties in the last month. That bullpen, like we've mentioned, has been pretty solid in the last 30 days. So I'm going to take the Pirates in this game, but I wouldn't be surprised to see this, kind of similar to what we saw on Friday, kind of a back-and-forth game. Next up, the Boston Red Sox taking on the Texas Rangers. Tanner Houck for Boston, no official starter for the Rangers. I know Houck's not in the best form when you look at his last couple of starts against the Yankees and Rockies, and then what he did in the All-Star game where he struggled giving up 3 runs, but I still think this is a pretty good matchup for him, facing a Rangers team that just hasn't been great offensively against right-handed pitching in the last month. They're 25th in team OPS, below league average in isolated power. I think this could be a nice bounce-back spot for Tanner Houck, and I think the Red Sox find a win, giving Boston the money line. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Minnesota Twins. Garrett Crochet and Bailey Ober are your starters. Garrett Crochet has pitched well this year, but the fact of the matter is the White Sox are 0-7 in his last 7 starts. And, they're not backing him up in the run support department. He's not pitching too deep into ball games. So that bullpen enters the game and it's not, doing its job. So for me, it's tough to back the White Sox in this game. It looks like you're getting such a great price with Crochet in this game, but I think Bailey Ober could certainly go toe-to-toe with Crochet early in this start. He's been pitching really well lately, sub-4 ERA now on the season. His last 5 starts, 3 earned runs or fewer in all 5 of those games. I mean, his last game against the Tigers, 8 innings of work, only 1 base hit, and 11 strikeouts, and a shutout 5-0 victory for Minnesota. The Twins have won 3 of his last 4 games, and all those were by more than 1 run. So give me the Minnesota Twins here laying the 1.5 runs on the run line. Next up, we see the Baltimore Orioles taking on the Cleveland Guardians. Zach Eflin and Joey Cantillo are your starters. Now, Joey Cantillo did not pitch well in his first start of the season, but for me, when you got Zach Eflin on the road, we know he's not pitched too well away from Tropicana Field this year. He made his Orioles debut at Camden Yards against Toronto, and 10 base hits, 3 earned runs, so it was a quality start on paper, 7 strikeouts, but a lot of base runners in that game and a home run to go with it. Now against a pretty tough Guardians lineup, this Guardians team in general is playing great baseball, good bullpen behind Cantillo. As long as he doesn't get crushed early on, I think the Guardians find a way to win this game. I'm going to go with Cleveland on the money line. I lean towards the over as well. Next up, we see the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Houston Astros, where you see Zach Littell and Ronel Blanco as your starters. Littell's not pitched too well away from Tropicana Field this year. I like what I've seen from him at home, but on the road, an ERA just below 6 at 5.81 in 48 innings, an opponent's batting average of 343, which is over 100 points higher than what it is at Tropicana Field. So for me, I got to go with the Astros in this one. Even though Blanco's not in great form, I think he'll end up being the better option in this start. I think the Astros have the better lineup and the better bullpen, especially after the trade deadline. So give me the Astros in this one on the money line and run line. Next up, we see the Miami Marlins taking on the Atlanta Braves. Kyle Tyler and Grant Holmes are your starters. This is a game where I do lean towards the Braves on the run line, but I don't really see a lot of value in that because this Braves offense has not been great. I mean, in the last month, it's got 17th in team OPS, so below league average, a high strikeout rate above 26%. I know Tyler hasn't been great, but when you look at the Marlins and Braves, these are the top number one and number 2 in terms of bullpen xFIP in the last month. So you got 2 strong bullpens in good form. Grant Holmes has pitched well. I mean, his last game, 8 strikeouts, only 5 innings against the Brewers, only gave up 1 run in that game. So I think we see a low-scoring game. I'm going to go with the under in Marlins-Braves. Next up, the Rockies and the Padres. Martin Perez makes his Padres debut. No official starter for the Rockies. Now, obviously, 2024 has not been a great season for Perez with an ERA of 5.2. However, his final start as a Pirate before being traded was a pretty good one. 6 innings of shutout ball. Obviously, the control was a little bit off, 5 walks in that game, but a shutout through 6 innings and a Pirates victory is exactly what they wanted. They trade him to the Padres here, and he gets to pitch at Petco Park against the Rockies team on the road. And this has been a pretty long road trip for Colorado, which includes a doubleheader in that San Francisco series. The Rockies, no official starters, so we could, infer that they're going to rely on that bullpen quite a bit in this game. It's not a great bullpen. I mean, it's been near the bottom of the league in ERA and expected numbers from the beginning of the season. So I'm going to roll the Padres here on the run line at Petco Park. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Oakland Athletics. Jack Flaherty and Mitch Spence are your starters. Flaherty's pitched so well this season. Of course, this is his Dodgers debut, but this is a pretty tricky spot because the A's have really improved offensively. They were expected to be sellers this year, but they really didn't sell too much offensively at all. And now when you look at Mitch Spence pitching as well as he has at the Coliseum, he's in pretty solid form right now. I think the A's can do enough offensively against Flaherty and the struggling Dodgers bullpen to at least cover the run line, if not earn the outright W. I mean, Mitch Spence faced the Angels 4 times in about a month, and he had pretty good outings in most of those starts. He's in good form. The A's have won 3 of his last 5, which, for a team with a big losing record like Oakland, that's pretty impressive. Getting a great price on the money line, but I'm going to take the 1.5 runs as well with the Oakland Athletics. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the New York Mets. David Peterson and Jose Soriano are your starters. Soriano's not been great at home this season, and he's not coming off a great outing against the A's, but it still ended up being an Angels victory in the end, and the Angels have now won his last 3 starts. I think Soriano remains the best starter in this rotation by far. I like the fact that he can get those ground ball outs, and even if he gives up base runners, if the control goes off a little bit and walk some guys, he can get those ground ball double plays. And David Peterson's, for me, big-time regression watching his game. We even saw last game 4 earned runs and a home run against the Braves. His expected numbers are really steep. He's given up at least 1 home run in 3 of his last 4 starts. The walks are starting to pile up as well. I'm going to go with the Angels here, plus money on the money line at Angel Stadium. And the final game we're going to talk about for the Saturday card in Major League Baseball, the Phillies and the Mariners. Colby Allard and Bryce Miller are your starters. Bryce Miller's been so much better at T-Mobile Park this year. He's got a sub-2 ERA at home, an ERA above 5 on the road. So I do expect him to pitch pretty well in this game. When you look at the Phillies, and Colby Allard did not pitch well in its season debut against the Guardians, lost that game, 4 innings, 3 earned runs, a home run to go with it. Then you look at the fact that the Mariners have been pretty decent against lefties in the last 30 days, and honestly, overall this season, they have better numbers against left-handers than righties. I think it's a good spot for Seattle. I'm going to go with the Mariners on the money line and run line at home. And that's it. Those are the games for Saturday in baseball. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe. Put those baseball picks in the comments section below. And again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Romanelli. Good luck.